Welcome and good morning, everyone. I want to welcome you to this linguistics webinar where we will be discussing the five major components of linguistics. We will talk about these components and what they are, and we will look at examples of these components. We will also discuss ways to introduce them to our very diverse classrooms and look at how we can further help our students to grow and master and navigate each component in a successful, authentic manner. Let us begin. Here are the components of the linguistics web. The components of linguistics are phonology, morphology, syntax, semantics, and pragmatics. We will not be discussing lexicology and etymology, but we will talk about them at another time. Phonology is a system in language by which phonemes are sequenced and produced to form a word, according to Motes 2020. An example is in the word dog. The letter dog makes the sound D. The letter O makes the sound A, and the letter G makes the sound G, thus forming the word dog. Without this component, letters cannot form the sounds to make words. There are learning disabilities which are associated with this part of linguistics. Students with these types of disabilities have trouble with words and word accuracy because they struggle to break down the sounds of spoken language. Dyslexia and dysgraphia, auditory processing disorders, and language processing disorder make it difficult to match with written letters, which make it hard for learners with these types of exceptionalities to decode. Research-based instructional strategies include chaining activities like substituting different sounds for the first sound of a no-nonsense word or word. In addition, explicit instruction, which includes rhyming songs, sentence segmentation, syllable segmentation, and blending, onset rhyme, blending, and segmenting phonemes. Chronological chains are a great way to engage your students. Students with exceptionalities should use color blocks or utilize digital tiles from really great reading to help them connect with the sounds and the letters. I have provided an example of a chain here in this particular example. Let me annotate. Okay. Phonological chains. So let me give you an example. First, you as a teacher would ask the student to spell dog. And the student would say D-A-G, D-O-G. The teacher would say change dog to log. And the student would say dog, and I want to make it log, so I would take away D and put in an L, so that would be U-A-G, log. The teacher would then say, great job, now change log to fog. So the student would say, I'm changing log to fog, and I'm going to take away L and put in an F, making it F-A-G. This exceptionality student tool is available on really great reading tiles. It is really a fantastic tool. I've used it in class, and students actually love pulling down the different sounds with color blocks available. So you might want to try that. It's an excellent tool. Hi, we're moving on to the next concept, which is morphology. Morphology is a study of consequential units of language and how they merge together in word creation. According to the Reading Rockets article by Dr. Shannon, in the early years of teaching, morphology should be used to build your morphology labs with the structured word inquiries. Wonder walls are used with this particular strategy. Wonder walls are formed based on the investigation of the word. For example, in the word jumping, the student would indicate the base word jump and add the suffix ing. In a morphological word family, students can use a base word and then build. For example, in the word play, the student would simply add, or playing, the student would add ing. Let's look at what we have to say with this particular word in our example, in our picture here. So morphology is the word, but the base is actually more. The connector vowel is the O, and the base log is also available. And this is a more complicated word. And then there's, of course, a suffix. So if you can see that the science of reading is so much more complicated than we like to give it credit for, and our students definitely need to be able to put all of these things into play. This is an example of the morphology and how it works. Students with specific learning disabilities should be given multisensory materials such as word blocks, organizational charts, graphic organizers, if you will, to help them organize the process. The instructor should be giving explicit directions on how each part of the lesson will work. There should be very specific questions given to help them arrive to this new word. It should be noted that we are not focusing on vocabulary, but helping them build the word and the morphologic connection. So let's take a look at this example. So we have the base word, play. And so we're going to ask the student to build either a prefix, an affix, or suffix. Okay, so in this particular example, let's start with the word is, the prefix is pre, and then they're going to add the word play, and then the new word becomes replay. So then you would say to the student, okay, now make the word playing. And so the student would then write play plus ing, which is a suffix, and then we would then read the word playing. And then you would say, now say the word played. Played. You played yesterday. And so the student would write play plus ed. And then a new word you would ask is what? Played. So then you go to the next word and you say, she plays all day. And so you would say the word play, the base word play, plus the S, and then the new word, which is plays. Okay, and then in this particular situation, we're going to make a compound word. So the word is playhouse. So the student would begin with writing play plus house, and then they would produce a new word, which would be playhouse. I hope this helps you, and I want to stress that again, we are focusing not so much on the vocabulary, but just the continued use of building words is going to produce more and more vocabulary. Syntax is a rule that indicates and dictates sentence formation. It is the study of a sentence structure and how clauses and phrases are formed in a sentence. Syntax is important because it helps people to communicate in a way that they can understand. If syntax is not present in a student's work, their writings may be jumbled and confusing. So, in order to teach students, you must practice by giving them practice in their verbal communication and in their writing communication. Students with exceptionalities and especially with speech disabilities may need to work out their sentence verbally before writing. According to the research-based sources and experts, syntax may be taught with continued practice, modeling, and explicit instruction in a similar way to the above text, which we are about to read from. Okay, so first you would teach the word function by asking your student a series of questions about the sentence. For example, um, our wet, hairy dog crawled under my bed during the thunderstorm. So you're going to be asking the student now, who or what did the dog do? And they're going to say, and the student will respond to the what? And they would say the dog. The dog is a noun. And so then you would then ask, and what did it do? They crawled under the bed, the student will respond. Ask how many or what kind or which one, and they'll say the wet hairy dog was the one. So that they're giving you the adjective. Now ask them where, when, what, and how, and why. And they said they crawled under the storm. They will answer you. They crawled under the storm because of they crawled under the bed because of the storm. Semantics is the study of sentence meaning or the connotation. The above activity shows the important parts of a sentence, which tells the who, the what, the where, the when, the where, and the how. It's an activity. And it will let us know that the student has developed great reading comprehension when they're able to put these things together. So this is an example in the above. This is an example of you organizing it this way, and by color, they're going to be able to tell you um, the what, the who, the where, and all of those intricate details. But it's great for younger students because they are able to put those things in perspective when they can see pictures many times. Graphic organizers can be a terrific way to help students with learning disabilities and typical students to better organize, visualize, and construct their ideas when writing and reading. It should be noted that this tool is recommended by the Learning Disabilities Association. This tool can help students to learn concepts, facts, increase their reading comprehension, brainstorm, and even increase their vocabulary. It is an instructional strategy used by teachers who have had to pivot and teach different types of learners at the same time. Semantics is vital because it is about the organization of the student's thoughts. So let's just take a look at this strategy. I found the web organizer, which is used in typical, sometimes just even with a vocabulary to go into different categories. The time graphic organizer is used, say for example, during stories that have a lot of different time in it, like history, like your social studies, even if they were writing a story about an inventor, then they might want to use this timeline type of graphic organizer. The Venn graphic organizer is generally used not so much by elementary students, but it is used to help students to organize their thoughts. So this is an excellent strategy, and we're going to go ahead and move on. Please seek Reading Rockets. They are an excellent tool to use to have in your toolbox. Pragmatics. Let's talk about pragmatics. Pragmatics is a subtitle of the linguistics field or the linguistics um, area of speech, and it's concerned with speech acts and how we communicate them and achieve them in a given instance of language use. It studies how the transmission of the meaning depends on not only on the linguistic knowledge, but of the grammar and um, information coming from the speaker, which can include how they speak, their tone, their expression, all of these things. So, students with speech learning disabilities often have a different time letting you know what they are trying to convey when reiterating their ideas. It is vital that we assist our students with processing issues, delays, and speech problems with the individualized help that they may need. Pragmatics can often be difficult for ELL students because of the social context, the cultural differences, and can lead to misunderstanding. It is important for teachers to understand that what may seem simple or harmless, um, it can be devastating. A comment can be devastating um, to a student. So if a teacher says to a student, "Did you eat?" their interpretation may not, the child's interpretation may not be about food, but how they are doing. So they may say, "I'm fine," and they haven't eaten. So teachers should build pragmatics into their everyday discussions all day long as a strategy. Lessons on pragmatics might include ways to communicate complaints, um, compliments, greetings, and social norms. You may use speech act sets in your classroom to address how to apologize and to use modeling to do so. You should show students what a sincere apology looks like and what an insincere apology looks like. Pragmatics is a big part of communication and must be learned through expressions, in annotation, and tone when students are reading. In addition to the tips that I have already mentioned throughout the webinar, I would like to offer some tools that may help you to help your students with all the components of linguistics, especially our students with exceptionalities. Okay, the computer or the word processor is an excellent tool to utilize to help your students with exceptionalities. Even gifted children may need a extra instruction to assist them with their quest for knowledge. So speech to text and text to speech are great tools for our students with both visual and verbal disabilities. Students may need books read to them or need words converted from another language to English for our ELL students. The dyslexics and dysgraphics may need assistance with writing, and so the computer can help them with spelling, writing, and reading. The talking machine, which I'm showing here, is elevates their sound so that the hearing impaired might hear. The telephone that is shown here is also an exceptional tool with students that converts the letters to the sounds. It's an excellent tool for all students who are having issues with processing those distinct sounds in a word or a letter. I hope this has been helpful. It is at this time. I want to thank you for your time, and I want to invite teachers and administrators to discuss and contribute any ideas or if you need any clarification on any of the materials that have been presented. I'm going to stop the video at this point. I want to thank you for your time, and your references are available on the table before you on paper. Thank you.